Hello, welcome back to another episode of For Real, hosted by me, Matt,
And me, Allison.
where we engage in deep convos about the things on our minds as young adults and young creatives. So, a skill that I think frequently circulates in our and other young adults' convos is time management.
Why are we laughing? Why are we smiling?
Dude, I'm looking down, but I can literally see you guys smiling.
Why are you guys laughing?
I started smiling because he started.
It's all because of Lewis. Anyways, continuing with the script. So, a skill that I think frequently circulates in our and other young adults' conversations is time management. As we get older and shoulder more responsibilities, it becomes sadly more apparent that we only have 24 hours in a day and that we can't do everything at that time. So in this episode, we're going to talk about our experiences and our take on time management, our growth and process in developing this skill, and how saying no plays into this overall conversation. So if you want to tune in on the fun, this episode's full video can be found on our YouTube and Spotify. And we have our lovely guests from episode 1 back, Lewis and Brian. Woo!
Welcome.
Yeah, you guys don't need to introduce yourselves. But anyways.
Go watch episode 1 if you haven't.
That's
Yeah,
right.
true. How's everyone doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty good. Actually, just kidding. I lost my apartment key.
Oh, that is true.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
so-
actually lost it.
No, I actually lost it.
Oh.
Yes, I don't have it. And I checked everywhere where it could possibly be, and it was nowhere to be found. So yeah,
Can you get a copy?
Copy, yeah.
I think so.
He's
I
gonna get
hopefully this
copy
weekend.
mine.
Yeah, hopefully this
At some
weekend.
point.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
but it's
sucks.
it sucks. Yeah,
It's a big L.
truly.
I just thought you misplaced it in your apartment.
No,
But
I
You dead ass
yeah,
lost it.
Yeah.
You lost it.
Yeah, I looked into buying tile.
tile.
Oh.
It's like a
Like a
tracker.
tracker.
Yeah, it like,
Oh, yeah, I know.
yeah.
Yeah, it's actually kind of
Yeah.
worth.
What
'Cause,
the-
Yeah, thinking about how much
If
money
you
I need
lose
to spend.
things.
Yeah.
It's like how
To,
parents track their
replicate.
children, but you're tracking your
Your
items.
items, yeah.
I was thinking, I think it could it could be possible that a crazy parents just place tile in their children's bag and track the children. That could be messed up. Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. I mean, yeah, I think there's just not much going on, so it's weird.
The life of an alumni.
Alumni.
Yeah, damn.
Wait, what?
Alumnus.
Alumni.
What about alumni?
Or you're
You-
taking one class, right?
Oh.
So technically not.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Technically not yet.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were
Oh, I'm not done yet. No, I have one class.
the life of a one class.
What classer?
Part-time student.
One classer.
Part-time student, yes.
Part-time student.
Yeah. How are you?
Yeah.
Well, I'm also a part-time student, but
Oh,
I have a
shit.
lot going on,
Oh.
sadly.
Yeah.
I'm running on 2 cups of coffee and
Whoa.
not enough sleep. But it's been good. Just a lot of things going on. A lot of dance things, and then which will be relevant for us to talk about later with time management. But I've been doing okay.
True.
That's, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So,
Cool.
first conversation starter. This should be relatively chill, I think, but how do you choose what to prioritize? Or what do you prioritize over other things and why? In regards to time management.
Honestly, I don't know because recently I've had a lot of unstructured time, a lot of leisure time, because I'm just taking one class, and
It must be nice.
it is nice. But even that, it's really easy to procrastinate when you have a lot of unstructured time.
True.
So I'm trying to figure out what I prioritize. But I think it's just not even class. I think before, when I was taking a lot more classes, I would prioritize those first. But now I just prioritize sleep and rest
That's good.
and
yeah,
food.
that's the mood.
And I've been trying to stretch and do yoga a lot more.
Ooh.
So I usually do that every morning. But it's a lot of health things and what I feel like doing now. But then when I'm done with that, I'm tired. So I just lay on the couch.
Go back to
and
sleep.
Yeah, pretty much. But other than that, I think I just do a lot of figuring out what I want to do with my time right now. Obviously, it depends on the deadlines, right? If you have an exam coming up, or if you have certain things coming up, those will probably take priority first.
Yeah.
Or if you have a performance, probably practicing for dance because we all met through dance. Check
Like
out
for Bang
episode
Bang.
1. Yep.
Bang Bang Daily Center.
Yeah.
How was
exactly. Oh, it was fun. Yeah, it was a long drive. It was like 4 hours. And we were like 5 people in a Toyota sedan. I felt bad because Joan was in the center, in the middle. But lucky, I'm kind of glad I wasn't in the middle. But we just slept for most of it. It was like really short. I don't know if this is like so niche, or not niche, but like it only applies to people on Refresh. Like that one year we went to Michigan for that retreat. You were there, right? And you were there. But
I was
you
not
were-
there.
You weren't there?
No.
Oh.
I was
Wait,
not.
you weren't there?
No.
Okay, I thought you were there. But anyways, we were there.
we
And then
weren't there.
it's just like the whole day it's spent driving. And remember when we got there, it was like already
so late,
nighttime.
Yeah.
And then by the time we got there, it was just like, it was night. Everything was dark.
Gig and then over.
What?
Like gig and then you're done.
It was a
Yeah,
retreat.
it kind of felt like that this
Yeah.
time. Because like we got there.
Oh, for you.
Oh, for us,
Yeah.
for me this time, like, so it was also in Michigan. It was fully like in a bar because it was called bar night. And like right when we got there, we got to our hotel, and then it wasn't long until we had to like go and do like tech, and then we came back to our hotel, and then it was like the whole show just started.
Wow.
And then it was just like really overwhelming because like the way it's set up is that like people are literally like 2 feet away from you, like the audience.
I
They're
saw,
like in your
I
face.
saw one of the
Yeah, it
videos.
was
Yeah.
very intimate.
Yeah, exactly. And I was just like, everyone's drunk already, and it was just a lot of college students and a lot of other dance teams. So yeah, I don't know. It was just a lot. I fully was sober the whole time. So maybe that's why I was a little nervous, but I'm talking a lot, so
That's okay.
that's all. That was fun.
That's all.
Yeah.
Do you need to? Do you want me to say the question again?
Yeah, what was the question?
Yeah, what was the question?
Oh no.
Proof you were off
Oh.
track. How do you
Prioritize.
choose what to prioritize, or what do you prioritize over others, and why?
Yeah. So, like, I guess like if you have deadlines, that's really easy because they have to get done no matter what. It's not like you can choose not to do them. I guess you could, but for me,
Yeah.
like there are things that just had to like no matter what have to get done. So those I just prioritize based on like those are at the top of my priority list, and I just prioritize them based on the deadlines. But I guess like there are things that I can like skip out on. I guess like working out or I guess practicing for dance. Yeah, just other things like I don't do them as like ambitiously. So yeah, those they come later. Okay, one thing is sleeping and eating used to be something that I don't have to do. Does it make sense?
No.
It was
Damn, how did you? So how are you alive?
like as in like if I need to get something done,
You would
and
skip
then
You'll
it.
skip
if I
it.
yeah
Yeah,
if I
yeah.
need to if I need to fit a meeting in during my lunch break, then I would do that. Like easy peasy. I'll just have a protein bar and like I'll be good.
I can't.
But no, I can't do that anymore. Like yeah, it's now I need to sleep and I need to eat. Those are the things that I have to do, non-negotiable. Yeah, so they're like up there with like all the deadline stuff, you know. Yeah.
Really? Oh, sorry.
No,
I was gonna
what?
say
What?
unrelated, but sleep is really important.
It is.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know if our audience is primarily college students.
Yeah, generally.
but yeah. So like,
Probably.
it's really important just to prioritize sleep. There's like a whole book on it, why we sleep. Yeah. Anyway.
Also, like I don't know what are we here to like give advice? Cause like I don't know if I should be giving advice.
It's like
Sorry, I don't have any
Yeah.
advice.
Take
for
it.
you.
It doesn't-
yeah.
Advice is what the person hearing it
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
decides.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
In case you're hearing me right now, take it with a grain of salt because you know I'm here to like more complain than to give advice. Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah, for sure.
I guess for me, like deadlines of course, but for me some non-negotiables as of recent is like working out and eating. My sleep used to be pretty bad. Like you guys know, freshman year I survived off of like 3 to 4 hours of sleep per day for like 2 months. And then I was like, never again. And then it was
That's
like
messed up.
it's like I needed 6 hours, and then it bumped up to 7, and then now it's around 7. But it's slowly decreasing just because recently I've been really busy. But I think like working out, like like I've been pretty consistent with that, which makes me pretty happy. But it's like all the things that quote unquote don't matter in the setting that we're in, like that's not school, that I prioritize. Like I don't really prioritize school anymore. If I have a deadline, I'll try to meet it. But if I can't, honestly, I'll ask for a deadline, like extension. And then like if I have to turn it in late, I'll just be like,
senioritis.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, whatever. Like I'll still pass.
Yeah.
But I think it's just like health stuff is the main thing nowadays.
That is also because in your position right now, you have a job secured.
True.
Yeah.
But I still need to graduate. I still need to.
I mean, I feel like it's a much lower bar than having to apply for jobs and
Yeah.
stand
Right.
out as an applicant.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
Positionality.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty nice.
For me, it's kind of interesting because I think I've seen myself, like throughout college, I think if anything, right now my priorities are more like my freshman year priorities. And then like during sophomore and junior year, they were like more toward like the healthy side. But now I think for me, my mindset is like, because I'm a senior, I don't have much time left. So I'm going to skip out on eating or sleep if that means I can like use that time instead to like get homework done because I was prioritizing dance or like socializing with other people or like, yeah, same thing with school though. I think for now it's like I just like squeeze in time when I can to get things done. Obviously, like ideally I wouldn't turn in things late, but recently I've been like missing a lot of deadlines, so I don't check Canvas as much, you know. And it's just like so confusing. But then definitely I feel like my non-negotiables now are just like things like practices, things for fun that I'm scheduling with other people, unless those can be like rescheduled. Also, like if Brandon's visiting or something, I'll try to like get out of work.
That's
or
your
something.
boyfriend.
Oh my
by the
gosh.
way.
Brandon,
Check out
who's
episode
Brandon?
2.
Episode 2.
Oh no! I've actually listened to it. It was pretty good. Yeah.
Oh
Nice.
my goodness.
Yeah,
All these
but-
shameless plugs.
I know. But yeah, it's just kind of interesting that like, because freshman year is more like, this is fun. Like, I don't really know how to manage or prioritize well. And now it's like, it's just the last year. So it's back to that. Yeah. So that's kind of for me. But I know we all said we're kind of bad at like managing our time. But I'm assuming over the years, we've all like learned a few lessons, whether that be like
A few.
from like making a mistake.
Yeah.
But are there any like tools or methods or like mindsets or just any like technique you use when trying to be better about like prioritizing the right things or managing your time?
This is so like out of pocket, but there's
Say
there's
it.
like in the corporate world, you know, sometimes they'll ask you like, how do you manage your workload or how do you like prioritize what to work on? I honestly think this is kind of helpful. It's like using a prioritization matrix.
Yes.
So it's like a spreadsheet or something.
Yes.
But I guess this applies more. So if you're like working in a group setting and like if you're responsible for a lot of things, like, hey, like you're in this meeting and then someone has feedback. So you can use this matrix to like write down feedback, who said it, like what the urgency is, like does it need to be addressed immediately? So you can just remember things. So I guess that's like, so that's just the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah.
But in a personal life, I've tried like a lot of things, but
I mean, freshman
I don't
year,
know.
you like sacrificed
yeah.
hangout time for sleep and
Yeah,
work,
I
which is really
did.
respectful, honestly.
Thanks, I had no friends, but yeah.
Because I had no friends.
In freshman year, for context, I just went to bed pretty early, like compared to
All
the
of us.
normal,
Everyone else.
the normal like
Yeah.
freshman student. So I guess for me, it's writing things down. So
Yeah.
like always having some type of agenda or like notebook. I like writing things down physically rather than I know there's like Notion and stuff or like apps that you can use. I've used Notion before. I don't like it. I mean, it's like okay, but I don't
Really?
like it to like organize my day-to-day tasks. I've tried using it.
Me
It's just
too.
not as satisfying when you're like
I know.
writing,
I feel
drawing
that.
a check off of like
like
a
crossing
task.
a whole thing off.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what it is, but there's just something more satisfying. But I think it's because I'm already staring at a screen so much all day. Like I would rather just kind of have like a separate like interface, like a notebook, rather than like dragging windows and being like, okay, But time management, man, I don't know. Maybe you guys had better tips.
Honestly, I started using Notion.
Yeah.
And like same with the matrix you're talking about. So I listened to this other podcast called the OLD podcast. Stands for Optimal Living Daily.
Oh.
And yeah, old.
Oh.
And old. And it like it talks about like minimalism and one time, so he is basically this guy just reading off other people's blogs and stuff like that with permission, of course. And one time this person was saying like same thing, like having a matrix and having a priority matrix. So like things that you have to get done before you can do other things. Does that make sense? So like on Notion, like I have a column A, a column B, a doing column, and then a finish column. So then like, I mean, TBH, I don't follow the fucking rules. Like, if there's something in B that I want to do, I just do it. So I'm not even using it correctly, but it's there. So like, if it's an A, then I'm like, oh, I have to get this done though. And there's like a little more like internal pressure to do it. And it's like, if I didn't finish it, but I started it, I move it to doing, right? But then it's like a lot of times that will trick me because I'll be like, oh, I did something today. I can like take a break, but in reality, I never finished it. Yeah, if that makes sense. But then that's where just like pressure of like deadlines and stuff comes into play. And then for me, it's like having the things done, and the next morning when I come back to it, the satisfaction of being able to delete it versus like move it back to A or column B. Okay. Yeah, because like I think writing stuff down is very enticing to me, but I'm just horrible at it. Also, like after having to learn how to write quickly and take notes quickly, like I hate looking at my own handwriting. Or if I write something, I'll constantly try to erase it. So like it's just a waste of time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I think for me, the biggest thing. Sorry. Sorry. Okay, so the biggest thing.
The person who's listening to that right now be like, what's going on, bro?
The people who are listening will be like, what is going on? But anyways, yeah, I think that like the things that I use nowadays is just Notion, and that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've like gone in between electronic and handwriting like to-do lists like quite a few times. Right now I'm in the electronic phase. Usually I guess like in terms of like a timeline, I started off with using like Google Keep just because like I could use it on my phone, on my computer, whatever, and then it's just easy. Like I just write things down. Yeah, it's like notes, but like the Google one.
Version.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh no. Oh yeah, it's this one.
Oh.
The yellow light bulb. But yeah, I think it was you who actually
I
introduced
did use that
me
in
to
freshman
it.
year.
Yeah,
you just
yeah.
surfaced a like an old memory.
Yeah. So I used that.
Daily memory.
Yeah, and then I went back to writing things down because it was the same thing. Like I liked the satisfaction of crossing.
Journal.
Yeah, and then I also started bullet journaling, but then I later simplified that a lot to only writing like to-do lists instead of like drawing out a whole thing.
It's a lot.
It was too much. Yeah, and then I started using Notion, and I loved it because I could make it look pretty and aesthetic. But then like I stopped using it because it was like way too much flexibility in terms of like the layout, and I was always more picky about how pretty it looked rather than like using it for productivity. Yeah. So now I've been using something called Things, which I like a lot. The only one thing is it's not linked to my phone and my computer, but I like it a lot just because you can like drag things around. Like for example, if something is due on Friday and today's Monday, and I'm like, oh, like I'll work on this on Tuesday, but then I don't get to it, I can just move it to Wednesday instead of like crossing it out, rewriting it. Like it's just easier for me to organize tasks by like being able to drag it to like schedule it to different days, and like you can add tags to everything.
That's nice.
And then you can like add deadlines so like you see when it's due. So that's what I've been using lately.
That out.
Yes.
I feel like I've heard about that before.
Is it an app?
Yeah, it's kind of expensive, but I have a free. I got a free one, so let me know and I can send it.
Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like from the App Store.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Nice.
Yeah. I just use Google Keep, honestly.
Oh, you use that too?
I use Google Keep. I've been using it
Check
for.
it out.
I've been using it for quite a few years. Wait, I don't think it's not that good. I just use it because
it's
it
just
does the
very
job.
standard.
You don't think it's not that good?
Wait, it's not that good.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it's that good.
Okay.
But yeah, it just does a job. It just imagine like just having a bunch of post-it notes.
Yeah.
I used to write everything down, but I stopped doing that because like there's not enough space to write everything that I need to do down.
Yeah.
Says he's busy.
But I guess I am.
Because like I know for Windows you have the sticky note app, and like I use that to keep track of like the anime I'm watching.
Oh yeah.
Like it's no, it's not.
Weeb alert.
Yeah. I'm a weeb.
No, I used to do that too. In middle school, like stickies for map.
Yeah.
Mac. Yeah, I would have like different. Like one would be for to-dos. One is
Right.
like
Yeah.
shows what episode I'm on,
Oh,
and like
yeah.
stuff
I
like that.
didn't
Because
know
Nice.
that.
sometimes if it's like something small,
Yeah.
I just put it on a sticky note. Like, especially if it's like during a meeting or something, I don't have time to like go into Notion and like type everything up. I just like just boop and then boop, you know, and then have it down. But yeah, I guess I should look into Google Keep, Google Think, Google Keep. On that note, let's keep going.
Oh, good one.
Boom. Pew, 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 ba-dum-tsh. Okay.
Okay.
What has been the hardest thing or aspect about time management for you? Yeah, I guess like at this point, or like something that you have triumphed or failed to triumph at like up until now.
I don't know if this is something that I've triumphed, but I have come to recognize that I don't have an infinite amount of time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that you actually need some disposable time
Yeah.
to prepare for emergency and such.
Oh,
Yeah, because like
emergency.
I'm thinking about like even for like even in terms of money, you need some disposable income to prepare for emergency, and just in case if you need to use it for anything that you need to have some disposable income, right? Just like time.
Okay.
Just like that, you need time to time to prepare for something that comes up like unexpectedly.
Oh, yeah,
if something
yeah.
goes wrong, you need to have the time to like fix that, correct that, right?
Yeah,
Also, it's
yeah.
good to have downtime to just think and do stuff that you like,
Or to
Yeah.
not think.
or to
Yeah.
not think. I
Or
guess.
Head
yeah.
empty.
Head empty.
No
Head
thoughts.
empty,
Just
yeah.
lie on the couch.
Horizontal.
I've come to appreciate the time that I just sit down, like time that I spend just sitting down and thinking, just like organizing like my thoughts in life, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, on the thought of disposable time, like my mom would always tell me to finish things in advance because you don't know what can come up. Like, let's say you forgot to save your document. That's definitely happened to me
no.
before.
That
And
literally.
so that's why, Google Drive is much better. But that was when I used Microsoft Word a lot. But yeah, it's always good to like plan ahead. Yeah, I forgot what else I was going to say. But I think the main thing is like the experience that comes to mind where I struggled a lot in college is my sophomore year when I choreographed for the first time. And I didn't expect my piece to get in to the Refresh Fusion Shaka set. For our listeners, Refresh is the dance team we're on. Fusion Shaka is just one of the bigger shows that we perform in and
How
organize.
much are they paying you to PR all of this stuff? Earlier, no. I'm kidding.
Sounds so cool. Let's
Yeah,
spin out, bro.
join. Just kidding. We're leaving next year. Do what you want. Anyway, so so that was really challenging for me because I was balancing like a pretty heavy course load. I was like, I'm a computer science student, by the way, so it was just like very
Beep boop.
beep boop. Yeah, it was very much like that. It was a lot of projects, a lot of exams, and choreographing for me, I was just really slow at it. So I guess I didn't expect it to get in. So once the piece was selected to be in the show, I was like, oh my God, I don't have much time to actually prepare. It was my first time like teaching on my own and like thinking of like formations and how to stage things. So it was fully like very overwhelming. So the good thing though is that we learn from our mistakes.
Yes.
And the second and the third time around, when I was able to choreograph again for our video showcase that one year for COVID and the past for Fusion Shaka, it was just so much more smooth because I think I learned more about myself and my own process, and I'm like, oh, I just need a lot more time than the typical person to like finish things, and I'm like a very type A person, so like I just like I have to get it done beforehand. I can't improvise on the spot, like unlike some people. And that just sounded really shady.
Unlike some people.
You like looked at me like some people. I'm like,
No. I'm jealous. Just kidding. I am a little jealous of those people who can,
Just whip up something.
talent.
yeah, like Joan.
Skill.
And I remember because Joan and I spent a lot of time in sophomore year outside of Refresh because, like, I think we were she helped me a lot too in that process too. But I just remember, like, we would sometimes go out on a Friday. I think it was Friday, yeah, and then Saturday I was Wednesday. Anyways, this is not even relevant. But I just remember we'd go out on a Friday, and then she would fully forget to choreograph and then just do it like 15 minutes or even just in rehearsal. You were in the piece. I was just like, huh?
Yeah.
So this is all to say that even if you like screw up with your time management, you learn like how you work. And I just learned that I just need like everything laid out beforehand to be the most effective with my time, you know.
Yeah. I think for me it's like accepting when plans don't go the way you expect them to, whether that's because of your own fault or like other people's fault. And like that's why I think, Lewis, what you said about having disposable time is really important, because like anything could happen. Like literally last night I've been trying to like, I also use like Google Calendar to like keep track of things. And then so because I've been so busy lately, I've been like putting in blocks of me to like do work, and then in the notes section of it I'll say like what I want to get done. So last night I had that time for myself for like 9 to 11, and then there was like 3 or 4 things I wanted to get done, but I was so tired last night. I don't know if just like laying like sitting in bed or laying in bed and not doing anything until like 10:30, but I was like that's fine. Instead, like I'm gonna accept that I was too tired to do this, and I'm gonna choose to sacrifice something else, which was sleep, to do it instead. Or like like I feel like this kind of ties into like saying no. Like we need to like, you can't always do everything, or like even when you're doing everything, you're sacrificing something, whether that's like your own health, your well-being, or like the quality of which you're doing everything that you're saying no to. So I think at some point it's all about like accepting that you have to sacrifice something, but you need to be okay with that.
Wait, I just kind of want to insert an aside. Like a lot of this conversation and kind of like the rhetoric we're using is a lot like centered around like productivity, right? And I was just gonna bring up that. I was about to say, like, I think it's very easy to fall in the trap that you feel like, oh, I have to like finish these things in order to rest, or in order to like do this thing, in order to feel good about myself. Lately, I've been kind of falling into that trap myself.
Even when we talk about resting, it's not like for the sake of resting.
Like a reward.
It's a reward. It's a reward, or like you're resting so that you can work more.
But,
and I'm like, bro.
I know, it's like, but the thing is, I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but like when you rest, it's like, are you actually resting, or are you anxious about not doing work?
I remember I really wanted to say something after Brian was talking.
But then it cut
but then it cut. I forgot what I was gonna say. I'll probably say it some more time within delivery.
It was about to enlighten
us. Anyways, so our friends and listeners, viewers have given us some questions or things to just like think about on me and Allison's IG. So there's a lot, but I guess we'll see what we can get through, right? Okay.
I think some of these would also overlap.
Oh, true. We didn't really get to sift out this time, so we'll just go. So this first one, what pushed you all to actively improve your time management skills, and when did you start? Honestly, freshman year.
It's like the point of no return, you know what I mean? Like, you get into, like, such a bad situation, and you're like, I can't do this to myself
when you
anymore.
realize your body is crumbling and you're unable to function like a normal human being should, that, at least for me, like, freshman year, notably, start of spring quarter, that first 2 months, oh my God. I was a walking zombie. Like, it was bad. That shit was bad. I never want to go back there ever again.
Yeah. For me, it was the exact same time. I vividly remember this one time in 1 South in the library where I was calling my parents. I was just crying because of how like stressed and like over like burnt out I was. And then from that point on, it was when I started to like drop out or like quit things that I had previously like wanted to do, but there was just no time. So I think it was from that point on. Also just because like I realized that once like I got more friends and hang out more, there was no time for myself. Like I would come home at like 2 or 3 or even later, just go straight to sleep, wake up, have a full day, and then just repeat. And like that was just not okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
Wait, 1 South.
I know.
Is that like the larger area?
No, that's the small one right beneath all the black boxes with like the mirror.
1 South.
1 South.
One South, not
South.
Not worth
in
South.
Maine.
Yeah, 1 South.
It's like the one on
right
the
next
right.
to Infocom.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
I was just thinking about like where I've cried.
Yeah, I cried in the basement of Maine, right
Yeah.
on my
Oh, yeah,
birthday.
yeah.
Oh
There's
my
this
god.
place. It was okay. You know, right across from Annenberg,
Uh.
and then there's like a.
Oh.
It's outside.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
stairs.
I-
Do you know what I'm talking
So
about?
with the weird like observatory.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
that
it's
thing.
like like to the left of the observatory.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I think
It's
I
like
know.
very- it's very discreet
Oh,
kind of
oh,
place.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Almost
just,
looks like a cafeteria, right? Like with those fucking
but like
chairs on the outside.
yeah,
and
but like to the
umbrellas.
right of that, there's literally like this weird structure.
Oh, like a little
yeah.
plaza?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like kind of. It's like, but they're like stairs that like go down
Down.
to
Oh yeah,
nowhere.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
yeah.
And then I just cried there, calling my parents because I was like, I don't wanna major in this, but here I am with almost with a degree,
Let's go.
Let's
But-
go.
Yeah.
Wait, we 2 weeks away.
2 weeks away.
From finishing.
Yeah.
I feel nothing.
Crazy.
But anyways, what was the question again?
What pushed you to
yeah, so-
improve
Oh,
your time management
active-
skills?
Yeah.
And when did you start?
I think it's like it's similar to what you guys said, like sleeping at weird hours. Oh, I think for me, if I sleep too late, I don't feel as well rested the next day, even though I sleep the same like amount, like let's
Oh,
say
yeah,
8
yeah,
hours,
yeah.
Oh,
but like
yeah,
you
yeah.
wake up at 11 or 12 and you're like, ew, I don't feel good. Whereas like if you went to sleep earlier, and I think the other thing is I have this weird thing where if I don't sleep like early enough or sleep too late, it's like hard for me to fall asleep.
Dude, I have fucking insomnia too.
Yeah, it's like it happened like recently too.
Yo, same dog. Yo,
It
no.
was, and I think I don't know. I think that's part of the reason why I also want to manage time better.
Yeah.
Because I think once you're like on top of your sleep schedule,
It's a habit too.
you feel better too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you function better throughout the day, and it's just positive reinforcement from there.
I don't know. This is kind of off topic a little bit, but based on what you were saying earlier about where you
Crying.
cried, and in terms of time management, to save time, guys, I've cried walking to somewhere. Cried walking to my next thing that I have to do. Just like, oh my fucking god, I gotta go, and like, and just walking. Yeah.
Oh no.
But usually just in my room.
I just imagine if someone saying hi to Lewis on this, it's like, hi Lewis. And what if that's going back to episode 1? What if that's their first impression of you? They're like, yo, that Lewis.
No, where's the
Yo, he's weird as fuck. Anyways.
Oh my god.
Yeah, sure. What was the question?
When did you actively improve your time management skills, and like when did you start? What pushed you to actively?
Well, honestly, I think I haven't like had like a rock bottom moment. I think I started just in high school because I wanted to do more things, and then I was kind of sick and tired of just doing whatever. That was like doing whatever that was like that came to my mind. So I started to like structure my time, and then that just like kind of evolved into just thinking about what I need to do first and such. So like, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy with my time management skills for now. I think it's just like doing them. Yeah. Because I feel like time management, like no matter how well you manage your time,
You'll
like,
never be perfect.
like going through that schedule is a different story, right? So
Yeah.
I'm just working on like, okay, my time is like pretty neatly organized. Like I know what to do when.
Yeah.
Just like doing them according to my
Yeah.
managed time is just like the hardest part.
Facts.
Yeah.
Another question from anonymous viewer is, what a time?
What is
Oh, what a time!
What a time!
What's the time that you said no and regretted it, or you didn't say no and like you overcommitted and regretted it? Lol.
I have a good one. Not even that good. But in my freshman year, I like joined this thing in the garage called Launch. And it was basically like you ideate a business. It was like for freshmen, I guess. And at the time, it was actually right after we showcased and I had to come here afterwards. And then I was just like, it was also like, I don't really like, not to say I don't like entrepreneurship. Like at this stage of my life, it's not something that really intrigues me.
Right.
So I was just like, why am I here? Because I just wasn't really enjoying it. And it was like the first thing that they had us do was kind of like give us like probably 10 minutes and pitch an idea. I was like, what is this? And I'm just like, obviously it's good to step out of your comfort zone, but I was just reflecting more and more about like, okay, maybe I should just do the things that I enjoy. And then I was just like, this was also our first spring show, and I ended up dropping launch because I was just like, it just seemed too stressful. Yeah. And then I'm really glad I did, because in the end, spring show ended up being a lot more of a time commitment than I anticipated, because like they were bringing back all of the pieces we had performed. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then there were like middle pieces and stuff, and then. Yeah, and I think there was just a lot of commitment in the weeks. Oh, you're good. You want to play footsies? I'm kidding.
Yo, what's going on?
So anyways, I just remember the week or two beforehand. It was just like straight practicing rehearsals in like Norris and then in Tech, and all of these places. So that's an example where I kind of trusted my intuition and instincts, and I was
that's
like,
good. Especially as a freshman too, that must have been tough to be like, I'm gonna drop this.
Yeah. So it was a good call in the end, but yeah, I think that was good.
You should say something.
Oh, hell no. Honestly, I guess before I say this, I love you guys. Anyways, that laugh felt really good. No, like laughing just now because of Brian.
I thought you were about to diss us.
I love you guys, but.
There's no but. I'm just sharing some love. I love you guys. No, I think just like this is totally off topic, but I think I've just been moving along life like so it's fun to be back here.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, I think for me it was also just like freshman year spring, and it was there's been times where I said no to something, and then I'm like, oh, I wish I would have done that. And a lot of times it's dance too, but I think in this instance it dealt with social life. Yeah. Like I think. That's a good one. Yeah, I think a lot of you guys know, and also other people know, I was super fucking active, like going to parties and like meeting people, because also I didn't know anybody. I was trying to establish my friend group at the time, and I think we got closer, but it wasn't like what we have now. So like I low-key gave this title to myself, but I think it's really true. I was like the most active freshman in CSA.
Yeah.
My freshman year.
From what I heard.
Yeah, like I was like the lead for like the skits for celebration, and that, oh my god.
What was your name again? You were the pig.
Hamos.
Oh yeah.
I was the pig. Yeah, and then like. And even at the end when we had like the senior send-off, I was the only freshman there at the party, because it was at the end of spring quarter. Everyone's busy with tests, midterms, and I was just like, oh, I'm gonna come because I love my seniors, right? And I remember I went to every social event, and I think the lowest low I hit, like, well, not the lowest low, one of the very low lows in freshman year that I hit was actually at Refresh Formal, when we went to that one bar in South Evanston. I'm not gonna like say the exact thoughts I had, but like I was at a fucking low place. And like I walked out of the party early because at the same time like grades were coming out for certain stuff, and like and back then I could still not accept the fact that I was just academically inept. So I had hopes, but at the time I was still very in my head about like, why can't you be like smarter and do better at grades? So I deadass walked out of the party early, tipsy, called my dad and cried in my dorm. I was like I hate this, and then like that's when I was like, oh, like I need to say no.
Like, something's not right here.
Yeah, I'm like something's a little off, you know. Yeah. So then I learned how to say no to social events. Like I stopped going to like parties and stuff all the time. And yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think for me, similar to what I said before. Like it was starting freshman spring, I had to say no and like drop out of a lot of things, and even now sometimes like for this, like a few weeks ago we were like, oh, like can we film this time? I'm like, no, I have work, like I can't miss it anymore.
Yeah. Gotta say no when you gotta say no.
Yeah, I've definitely gotten better and like been feeling less bad about saying no, and like also feeling less like I need to explain myself. But I don't mind explaining myself, so I like explain because I think it helps to understand context. But I guess for like a time I said no and regretted it, I don't necessarily regret it, but I miss it. Is in freshman year I did band, just because band was like my big thing in high school and middle school, and now I definitely miss it sometimes, but I don't think I regret it. Like, I've definitely thought about going back to like do it again because I miss it, but I think that it was a good decision to make. Also because like I've gone through something similar in like elementary/middle school, where in our school it's very like common for you to join swim team starting in elementary school because that's the only sport you have until like late middle school.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, so I was in swim team starting in like 3rd grade, and then I stayed, but then like at a certain point it was just like not fun for me anymore. So in 6th grade I quit, and I was like, oh, this is so great, no more practice. Yeah. And then after a year I was like, oh, I kind of miss it. So I went back, even though I sucked, but I still somehow made it in. But literally like, I think it was like literally only a week or at most a month after of being back in the team, I was like, oh, I remember why I quit. And then I quit again. I quit right after that. So now after that, I was like, I can miss it, but I understand. Like, I don't regret it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, I guess like one thing that I talk about is, one thing that I can talk about is from last quarter. So my fall quarter senior year, I was doing this like volunteering thing where I have to make calls to patients, and like because of the nature of the volunteering, I have to schedule calls with them and just like fit into them whenever I could, like whenever whatever time slot I had. If I had a 1 hour gap, like a 2 hour gap, I just had to fit it in there, and it was just like really, really tiring. It wasn't like a lot of time that I had to commit, but it was just the exhaustion that comes with organizing and then actually going through with them. It was just like so difficult, and like I really, really regret agreeing to do it because that was the work that I did like this past summer, right? That was the work that I did past summer, and then I said, oh, I think I can go ahead and like do it like throughout my school year if it's just a little less and if it's remote. And no, it was just like pretty bad. It kind of felt like, you know, like in a Jenga tower, there are a bunch of like empty slots, and like what you gotta do is like put the blocks back in there, and then sometimes to make that work, you need to move things around in the Jenga tower, and just like doing that like make the tower
There's
like
a rule?
just
You can put things
fall.
back in a Jenga tower?
No.
You're supposed to pull it out and then put it back on the top, right?
Or just like I'm just like
Oh.
trying to use it as a
Metaphor.
metaphor. Trying to describe what it felt like. Yeah.
I
And
see,
then
I
the
see.
tower toppled over.
Yeah, low key.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Worst quarter at Northwestern for
Last
sure.
quarter.
Really?
Really?
Last one?
Really, I thought it would be your like sophomore fall quarter.
That was pretty bad too.
I was like,
Had a bad
Yikes.
time here. quite a few often.
Damn. That can be for another time to discuss. But-
Bad times?
Yeah.
We kind of gave you a preview with the crying, so
True.
you can cry.
Walking while crying. That's a mood. But this next one's a little hefty, so
Save time though.
I'll try to like kind of abridge it, but basically saying like this person doesn't think people slot enough time for themselves, and what they mean is like you don't take enough time to just actually relax, and because of like hustle culture again is so prevalent in our generation, especially Asian Americans, and basically what they're trying to say is like there's all these factors and other factors that like it's hard to describe, but it's like like maybe the feeling of you might disappoint someone or fall behind your peers, and of course it's like a case by case scenario, but they're just wondering what our take on like their statement is. Yeah, and I think this reminded me what I was gonna say about like the question that Brian talked about, like what's something you're really bad at, because like hustle culture I think is like a whole nother topic, but like evidently it affects like time and stuff like that, and for me it's like and I'm sure a lot of our fellow creatives like in Gene too can like attest, is like because I almost as if like we're put on a pedestal, like because of the work that we did to get to where we are, we feel like you have to like keep proving ourselves to maintain it at that level kind of, and like because of that you're always like there's the idea of always looking at the next project and stuff like that. But slightly off topic is like something that I personally sucked at doing all this stuff is like my dad was like, he always gave me this advice, like you never know what you can accomplish in 10 minutes. And he's like, if you're resting, you have to use a timer because you always want to extend and go over. And like that was really prevalent when I was young because I play games and I'll be like, oh, like whatever, and then like and then time is gone, you know. And he's like even if you're just doing work, like if you can't work for that long, if it's just for 15 minutes, you can get so much done if you really focus. And I think like like that. I don't know how that factors into hustle culture, but it's like. Yeah, man, like it's a tough thing, especially as like Asian Americans and like the background that we have and the life that we live as Northwestern students.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
it's so funny we talk about that hustle culture and we're in the garage.
Yeah.
It's like
What's up?
filled with so many like
Hustlers.
innovators, hustlers, people,
Hustlers, yeah.
young entrepreneurs who want to make it incubating. Yeah, but I agree. I think like hustle culture has been a problem for a while now. Like toxicity in it.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to a podcast about rest.
Mm.
But they talked about hustle culture, but I forgot what their take was. But but I think it was interesting. But hustle culture, I feel like you're right in the sense that like our generation maybe feels the effects a little bit more because I think hustle culture has seemed to be really strongly tied to like startups and businesses, but now I think it's creeping into the creative space with content creators. You see TikTok and this and that, and like people feel really pressured to like constantly put out content. It's like always about quantity over quality is kind of like the saying in the industry or whatever. But yeah, I think for me personally, I feel like if I'm not hustling, like my existence is not necessarily valid, but I feel like I could be doing more all the time. Like that's something I always tell my mom when I call her. I'm like, oh man, I feel like I can always be doing something more.
Yeah.
And I never really realized like it's just something that is like ingrained, like inherent within our culture. Like you just like believe it without really thinking about it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like the other thing is like you were talking about moving on to the next thing. For me, I think a really bad habit is like I'll accomplish something, but I never really like feel that great.
Accomplished.
Yeah, I feel like okay, like for maybe 5 seconds, I'm like, oh yeah, it's done, and I'm happy with it, and like what's next? You know, it's just like you never give your self to sit in that pride and like acknowledge what you've been able to do.
Yeah.
But
I don't know how helpful my take on this would be, but I guess it's like a different perspective. For me, personally, like hustle culture, I get how it can be very toxic, especially in the whole like productivity, like is your worth to where it's like not in a good way. But for me, I personally find a lot of joy in hustling. Like I have so many like side things I'm always working on, but that's just because I really like it. But I think for me, like instead of like when I finish something, my mindset is different, where instead of like nice, that's done, okay, now on to the next one. For me, like I am thinking of the next thing, but it's more like, oh, that was so fun, like I want to do more with this next thing. So that's kind of like how I view it. But definitely like giving yourself time, like you need to realize like when you're doing too much, even if you're enjoying everything you're doing. Like I think the most straightforward way is just to, if anything, just like put in time in your calendar that's like empty, and just like set it as like a non-negotiable. Be like, I'm taking this time to rest, or like me time, or do something I enjoy. Like rest doesn't have to mean like, I feel like for me, rest doesn't necessarily mean to like do nothing. I think it just means to be somehow recharging yourself, whether that's sleeping, eating, doing nothing, or being with friends, or just like doing a hobby that you like. So yeah, I think that's my take on it.
I don't know. I think like right now, society makes it really difficult for you to feel worthy unless you're doing something that's productive. Right. But and then they make it like a role model for you to. They ask you to keep striving, to be better. You need to improve. There's always room for you to do better and outperform your past self. But and that becomes so ingrained in you from a very early age that you're just like, oh yeah, like I honestly could be doing something else right now, right? I could be working on myself to improve. But I think it's really, really important to understand, or like ask yourself, like, why are you doing that? Like, what's the point of improving yourself? You know what I mean? Okay, so I can do more. It will open more doors for you, more for me to do the things that I want to do. But like after a certain point, you have to recognize that there's a fine balance between overworking yourself and just like striving. Does it make sense? Yeah. For me, I think when I was really, really doing poorly in terms of like everything in life, It felt like I'm constantly on a treadmill that just doesn't stop. You can't get off. Does it make sense? It's similar to like what you said.
A lot of metaphors today.
Yeah.
The Jenga.
Jenga. Oh shit.
Treadmill.
Yeah, but like something like what you said. You achieve something, but there's always something that you gotta do next, and your life
Never
just
ending.
becomes work.
Yeah.
And what are you working for? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's there's no feeling of satisfaction or gratitude once you achieve that. It's just like, okay, so I just gotta do something else.
That's true.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
And I think that also has to do with like just signing up for too many things, because there's no time for you to appreciate yourself. As in like there will always be something that's like lingering behind you, or just like looming over your head that you need to get done. And that's just such a toxic way of living, which I am living right now. Yeah. Ow. But yeah. Here to complain.
I just wanted to say something real quick. I remember with the podcast about hustle
Give him a
culture.
shout out.
So, it's called TED Radio Hour. If you guys want to. Anyways, we'll talk about that later. But the one thing I wanted to bring up about hustle culture is that it's evolved from like history. So like an example they gave was during, I forgot which World War II, maybe, when like, all the troops were, bruh, don't even get
It's a prank.
But World War II, during like that event, American troops were being sent out, like the men were fighting and blah blah blah, and like the propaganda that the U.S. government was pushing for people like on the home front was like, you guys need to work to support our troops, like do as much as you can. And I think that is so interesting to me because I never really thought of it like that. And like, and just thinking about like, where did hustle culture come from? Like, what are the origins of hustle culture? And it is very much rooted in sort of these pockets of history of American culture. And I was like, oh dang, like I didn't think of it that way. And the second point I wanted, like in response to what Luz was saying, and just in general, like why we feel the pressures of hustle culture is like we saw our parents hustle, like coming from like more of an immigrant family. We kind of empathize and resonate with that a little bit more because we're like, oh, they didn't work so hard for us to be little bitches.
I know, you said
But it was. I think that also has an effect. I think, or influence on how we view ourselves and this stuff. But
I think, no, if anything, I feel like, for me, I feel like it would be more healthy and helpful if you thought of it as like, if I'm not resting, if I'm constantly working, then the things I'm doing is lower in quality. Yeah. So in order to actually like achieve the most in terms of quality, not just quantity, is like you do have to rest and take care of yourself.
Yeah. I agree. Or else you burn out.
Yeah, and like the last two things I'll say before moving on is like, one of it I think is definitely like our own background and culture, like being of Asian American descent and like having that filial piety. Like a lot of what I do, I find myself thinking nowadays is like for my parents or for somebody. Yeah. It's never like for myself. It's for someone else. Right. But I also think the reason why hustle culture is so prevalent is because inherently in resting, you're not creating value.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're just sitting, like you're not creating value.
Yeah. And
like that idea of producing value, I think is so enticing and like, as Lewis said, rooted into our minds, which is why like everyone, like hustle culture is a thing. Right. But yeah. Last thing is just like being able to appreciate what you've done. That's something that I'm trying to do better at too. Also appreciating people's compliments because I get so bad where like if I do a dance and people are like, wow, like that was so cool, and I'll be like, lol, okay, thanks. And then and then it'll just flow over my mind. But in reality, like come on, like they took the liberty to walk up to you and to tell you something that they appreciate. Like I need to do better to take that and let it sit. And that's something that one of my friends, Akanel, has been telling me to do. Like she's really good at giving me compliments and telling me like let that sit. And I think as like a dancer, like for us, like recording videos and stuff like that, and sometimes if something good is being produced, I find myself watching it over and over again, and I'll be like, damn, that was a solid round. But sorry, I will keep moving on.
Good question.
Yeah. Next thing from one of our anonymous folk: accepting your priorities when they don't align with your friends is difficult and sad.
Too bad.
Wait, sorry. What's the question?
Or it's a thought.
A thought. Accepting your priorities when they don't align with your friends is difficult and sad.
It's hard, yeah.
I'm still not getting it. Can you give me an
Like-
example?
Oh, yeah.
Like him in freshman year, choosing
Yeah.
to sleep instead of hanging
Over
out.
friends.
Oh.
But then you sad because you have no friends.
Yeah, but then you can also ask, like, but you can also ask, like, why would you think it's difficult and sad to accept your own priorities?
Right, right.
Like, why? Like it should, like, you know, like we'd want to say that, like, oh, that should be like your default, like, you know,
Yeah.
taking care of yourself. But then, oh, why do you feel difficult?
Right.
Like, why do you think it's difficult and sad then? Or something like that.
Oh, me? Okay.
Anyway, yeah.
Well, I think maybe like, I guess like you don't fully know what your values are then. That could just be an indication like yeah, it's hard to balance everything. But I think for me, let's just go back to the example in freshman year. Like I realized, oh, sleep maybe isn't that important in the beginning. Like, okay, we all learned that it is important later on. But like in the beginning, I think like, I found it to be more important to like have a close social circle, and then I could go to sleep resting, you know, more easily, knowing that I had friends. But like, but I think the other thing is like, I don't know. I think the other thing is like what is the cost of going with one thing over the other? And I think like this was even during the pandemic when like you were socially isolated. Like I was reading a little bit and listening about social isolation. And, like, you know, the research really shows like feeling lonely is like really unhealthy. It's probably the equivalent of like smoking a couple packs of cigarettes a day. And I was just like, yeah, I think in some cases like you might need to sacrifice some things because you find that your values are not as static as you think they are. Like they can change and that's okay. But I'm not really sure what this like viewer might be struggling with. Like if it is possible to compromise the two, but I think my suggestion would be like to reevaluate maybe what they actually care about in terms of their values.
Yeah, I think this also has to do with like what Ali said earlier about just making sacrifices and coming to terms with them. You can't do everything. I'm not saying that you should lower your standards, but definitely do reevaluate what's really important to you. And if you do feel lonely, try to strike that middle ground where you are going out like a few times, like a month, or like maybe like once a week, and make sure you have your social circle that you can fall back on, that you can trust, that you can belong. But also do prioritize your sleep. I mean, like it's a lot to ask for, and there will be like some trial and errors, but yeah, just experiment, come to terms with like your limitations, and that's right. Yeah. I wonder if this person's a freshman.
Oh, true.
Yeah. That, like, I guess like context matters too.
Right. Yeah.
But we'll never know.
Unless you come forward.
Kidding.
By the way, my Instagram.
Here's my number.
Just if you want to talk.
I agree with what's all been said, honestly. So I don't think I have much else to add.
Me neither.
Okay. I feel like we kind of talked about the line between self-care and selfishness. But I guess we could talk about this one and then this one. Okay, so second to last question: what is the line between self-care and selfishness when saying no to things?
I don't know.
Wait, I'm so confused. Like about a scenario where
Lewis is like, you don't make sense.
No, about a scenario where you would prioritize yourself to do something, and then that would just be selfish. It's like, I don't know. I guess I can imagine like, oh, going out maybe. Oh, you're ruining the vibe for everyone else. You're being a Debbie Downer. But honestly, it's on the side of like your friends to understand that and like appreciate you when you do come out. I feel like we also have friends like that. You know what I mean? It's so hard to like get everyone to come out every single time. But we understand.
Exactly.
If they're guilt tripping you, and it's just like making you mad. But like if they're guilt tripping you for being like, dude, like you should come out more. I don't know, like haven't seen you in forever. We miss you. I mean, like that's all good things. And definitely don't feel guilty about them. If that's making you feel guilty, just take it like, oh, they love me. Versus like,
or like they miss me.
They want me to come out and like being an inconvenience to them.
Right.
But yeah, definitely do prioritize yourself. Yeah.
I mean,
I do think this is a little different in social situations versus something that's like a commitment or like a responsibility you have. Like,
I take back everything I said.
I was seeing your reaction to this question. I was like, huh? But I understand for social things,
social
definitely.
things.
But I think if it's like something for work or like a club where like you committed to it by saying yes, and then you drop out just because like it fits
That's
your
different.
schedule
Okay,
better or
right,
something,
different.
then like that's different. Like I think
that's a good point.
there can definitely be some gray area where like things can be very obvious where it's like if you like I don't know, you have to go do something because like a emergency or something, then obviously like I feel like people would understand. But if the reason is just like, oh, like I don't know, like it gets a little mushy when it's more of like, oh, this just works better for me. But if it's like bringing everyone else down by you saying no to something you already said yes to in the first place, that's a little
That's
like
true.
maybe you should just like follow through with this, but next time just say no in the beginning.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Like I think it's a case by case scenario too, but
Because like what I was gonna say is really similar to what you were gonna say. It's just like if it's not a commitment, like if it wasn't a commitment issue, then I think there is no such thing as you being selfish then.
Yeah.
Because you're always erring on the side of like I can't do it anymore or like I have to take time for myself. If it's a commitment, then I think that's a different story.
Right.
But I agree with what Lewis said about social things though.
no,
Like,
that one definitely.
yeah, like definitely
Yeah.
if you're feeling like way out of it, like, you know, take time for yourself. And if your friends do guilt, I mean, we know we guilt trip our friends even a little bit too, but that's out of love. Like we don't push it to that extent.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's all. I agree.
I echo that.
Last question, and then sorry for those that we didn't get to. But last question is splitting time between work, school, connections, and relationships.
Wait, what were the
I mean-
work, school? Okay.
For me, what comes to mind is like there are things that I naturally prioritize, and then there are things where I know I am supposed to be, but I'm not actually prioritizing. For example, like for refresher cadence, like for cadence, maybe if something's not super urgent or if I can delegate the task to someone else, but I naturally am inclined to rather work on that than like do my homework, just because like I feel more
Passionate?
more attached to it and like more motivated to work on it, even though I know I probably should be doing something else.
Right.
That's definitely something I need to still work on. Like a lot of times, like I have like some time where I can do stuff, and then instead of doing the most urgent thing, I do the thing I want to do most first.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, that's wrong. Like I can save that for another time. Like I don't know. It's a tough one.
I don't think I mastered this one.
Yeah.
So like,
Nothing to say here.
I feel like has anyone mastered this? Like I think it's literally just an ideal, right? Like that you can't really achieve every time. Because we're human, right? Like we're not robots. We can't like evenly allocate our time. Like we have feelings, which are so annoying, right? So I think like because of that, you have to give yourself some mercy there to be like, okay, like you said, yeah. Wait, what song is that?
What?
Take it easy on my heart.
Is that Easy on Me?
Easy on Me. I forgot about who. Anyway,
Adele?
Oh.
Is it? Or is it different?
Oh. Was that her latest song?
No.
I forgot what it was called. Anyway.
Sorry.
You're good. Yeah, so I think like every day will be a different priority just because like what you're feeling that day.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think like the fact like the example you gave with wanting to work on things that you naturally like more, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's also maybe a messenger to yourself. Like, oh, I just like this thing more. And let's say if it's like you really like this club and you really like doing the marketing stuff, or like that could be something to look into. Maybe you have a passion for marketing. I don't know. So I think all these things are I think all these things are not always distractions. I think they can also be good information for you.
Yeah, I think I want to reframe this question a little bit because right now it just feels a little bit too broad. So I want to focus on like what made this person ask this question in the first place. Does it make sense?
Yes.
I'm imagining probably because this person is like unhappy with the way they is like allocating their time for all these things. I guess like the only thing that I can tell you is like just do what makes you the happiest in the moment, right? Because like it will be like happiest in the moment and like something that you won't regret doing. Yeah, because like I think it's always the choice of making the best decision in the moment. Does it make sense?
We got a debate on our hands.
Yeah, I was like,
fight.
Okay.
But what if like?
Yes, let's hear this.
What if this is like Saturday or
snake?
Sunday night, and then your friends are doing something fun and you haven't gotten to hang out with them a while, but you have a midterm on Monday that you haven't really studied for.
Yeah.
Well, that's a mad specific example.
No, I'm just saying like.
that's good.
What do you do though?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Obviously, I'd be happier to like go with my friends, but like.
Wait, I should elaborate on what I mean by happy in the moment.
Yeah.
I guess. Okay, not happy in the moment per se, but maybe the best decision that you think is at the moment. And like what my strategy is, I try to like assess like the pros and cons of all decisions and just make a decision because there won't be a thing that you can do that will be perfect, that there won't be a downside for. Does it make sense? So at the moment, you just do your best to live your best life. And if in the future, like you find out something like that changes, like maybe like what you should have done, then that's too bad. Honestly, it is. Yeah, you just have to feel satisfied with the decisions that you make. Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing. There's instead of just striving for perfection, strive for satisfaction.
True.
Yeah.
Or like the least
worst,
the least undesirable
Outcome. Yeah. I
I guess the only thing I would say also, because this was actually from my friend, so I know he's very, very swamped with what he does. Just evaluate your priorities. Like if your significant other is someone that you cherish, then sometimes you have to sacrifice a little bit of work time or sleep to be with them and kind of nurture that relationship. If you're about to graduate and you need connections to get a job, maybe like hopefully your friends and your significant other understand that. So you're taking time to better yourself as a young professional, whether that be on LinkedIn, going to events, etc. I mean, evidently you're still in school right now. I know you are. So like school matters to some extent. And then, if it's work, like depending on what type of work, just like make sure you have your priorities straight. And everything that like Lewis and Allison said, I agree too. But I think like for me, just one thing, just make sure you have your priorities straight. Yeah, because that'll change over time too.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah. Hey guys, sorry about the audio change. For some reason, the SD card didn't record our original outro, so I'm here to dub over it really quick. But that marks the end of our episode. We talked about time management, our takes on it, and kind of our processes in developing the skill, and also how saying no plays into that. If you would like to interact with us, please feel free to hit us up on our socials. My IG is mattu_9, and Allison's YouTube channel is All Things Allie, with a silver or white heart at the end. Or leave a comment when our full YouTube video for this episode is out. To stay updated on our latest episodes, check out our socials and our YouTube channel at For Real. And thank you again to our lovely guests, Brian and Lewis. And of course, we wanted to give a quick thank you to the Northwestern Garage, because without them, this podcast would not have been possible. Thank you so much, and hope you guys have a great day.